Sometimes it seems like we just can't get free of fees. Banks, phone bills, airlines are all in a feeding fee frenzy. This is especially hard on retirees who are already finding it hard to make ends meet. But my law partner, Mike Solomon, is here with some important fee-free advice to help save us money. Okay, and you don't give away free advice very often, right? So let's start with bank fees. Seems like there's all sorts of new costly fees with the banks.
Yeah, the banks are charging a lot of fees, and sometimes they're hard to find. But one of the most common, of course, is a fee to use a checking account. And also now a lot of banks are charging a fee to use a debit or AMT card.
Oh, that's awful. How do we avoid these fees?
Well, some banks aren't charging those fees, number one. And number two, many credit unions or community banks or online banks don't charge fees for any of that sort of those items. And then finally, even if a bank charges a fee, sometimes if you have a minimum deposit, they'll waive that fee and you won't have any fees on that sort of stuff.
Just ask them the question,
That's
sounds
right.
like. So tell us about telephone fees.
Telephone fees are they're these charges they put on your card on your telephone bill, and sometimes you won't recognize them. There'll be third-party bills, small amounts. The phone company will get a little piece of it. What you ought to do is look at your phone bill and make sure that you understand all the charges. If you don't recognize them, then follow up. Contact the phone company and find out what it's about.
Ooh, how do they let that happen to your phone bill?
Don't know.
That's just awful. Airline fees, they're huge and seems to be getting bigger, especially at this time of year when people are traveling.
Well, airlines are charging fees for a lot of things too, and luggage is one of them. Now many airlines are charging for even the first bag. It used to be they would charge, after you had one bag. Now they charge for the first bag, and if you get over a certain weight limit, you could spend hundreds of dollars in extra fees. The weight limit typically is $50 for a bag. So if you get above that, you have fees. And they're starting to charge for other things also. If you call over the phone, make a reservation, you might have a charge there. You might have a charge if you're asking for a particular seat, or if you want a little extra legroom, maybe you have to pay a little bit more for that particular seat. So they're trying to charge for all sorts of things to raise revenues.
So I've seen those little scales that you weigh your bag on. It sounds like that's a pretty good investment to avoid hundreds of dollars in fees.
That's right. There are also some websites you can go to help you find and compare airlines. And one of them is called TripAdvisor.com, and the other is called FareCompare.com. And you can check those out, and maybe they can tell you which airline is the cheapest one to use. Okay.
Well, it sounds like you got to ask questions too, no matter what.
Right.
You got to ask questions and find out what's going on and what fees they might be actually charging. So, all right. So we are really seeing a fee-feeding frenzy these days. But if you follow Mike's tips, shop around for banks, compare airlines fees, and carefully review your phone bill, you should be able to avoid unnecessary costly fees.
Call Budish, Solomon, Steiner, and Peck at 1-888-236-5173 for more information or to schedule a speaker for your organization. Or log on to www.budishandsolomon.com.
Thanks for watching. Join us next week when we'll meet a woman whose hunger to help others led her to help the hungry. He was on the front line of Cleveland's FM radio wars, and he'll tune us in to the behind-the-scenes buzz on the battle to be the best. We'll share why an art exhibit is making a good impression, and we'll help you avoid a big probate mistake. Until next week, please remember to make the most of your golden opportunities.
Would you like to join our kitchen conversation? All you have to do is call toll-free 1-877-765-1543 and leave us your question, name, and phone number. Or log on to www.golden.tv for all the latest information and show updates.